Before we get started, I wanted to give a quick disclaimer. Please remember to be respectful at all times, as these are people's stories, life, and opinions that they are having, which are all okay to have. Also, some conversations might get a little too deep, which will make some of you guys uncomfortable. If that is the case, please remember that it is always okay to exit, and then I'll see you in the following episode. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Hello guys, welcome back to Floating Thoughts. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Lally and I am your host. If you are not new here, welcome back. By the time you guys see this episode, it's going to be Sunday. So I do hope that you guys had an amazing week. If you did not, I truly pray and hope that this upcoming week is better than this past week. I am currently filming this on a Tuesday, so I am fairly new into this week, but so far so good. Last time I spoke with you guys, I was a little bit under the weather, so the schedule has been a little, I would say, messed up maybe when it comes to posting. If you are new here, I post every Sunday at 9 a.m. So I did post this past week on a Wednesday, but we are back to regular schedule. I really don't know what was going on with me, but all I know now is that I'm feeling healthy, and that's all that matters because I'll take it. I don't know what happened, but like I said, I'll take it. So I truly hope also that you guys enjoyed this past episode that I did. I know I focused it more on like a kind of chit chat with me and occurring events that were kind of going on in the world, right? And I do want to see and know if you guys kind of like that route that I took, or if it was just kind of good to kind of just, switch it up a little bit and then come back to my regular type of maybe podcast content. But yeah, let me know for sure. I do want to start off this episode by asking you guys a question, and mind you, throughout when I ask this question, please take all the time you need, but you can pause me for a little bit or whatever the case may be. But I do want to take a moment and ask, what does love, self-respect, and boundaries mean to you? And I am not talking about the definitions that Google would give you or the dictionary, but I am talking about what definition you've given those three words. If you have paused me, you're probably not seeing this part just yet, but if you have paused me and you are writing them down or, saying them out loud, I applaud you for having your own definition for those three words already. And if you just kept me rolling because you have not maybe perhaps given a definition to these words, I do want to encourage you that hopefully by the end of this episode, you've done that for yourself. I'm not going to force you, obviously, but it is something that I encourage you to do, because have you heard of the saying, and I'm sure that you guys have, you are what you eat? And I know that right now you're probably like, Lally, what the heck are you talking about? But give me a moment. Now, I'm going to say the same thing again, right? But I'm going to add something, right? You are what you eat, but you should be picky. And I am not talking about food, okay? I am talking about people. Weird, right? But the reason why I even want you to have a definition, I'm going to dive into that quote. I'm not going to leave you hanging. But the reason why I want you to have a definition for that is because we all have different definitions. when it comes to those three words. We all have different definitions as a whole for a lot of things, right? But for those three words, we all have different definitions, and that is okay. It's okay for you to have a different definition for each word. But this is going to sound a little bit illiterate, but it makes sense, okay? But it is not, well, maybe it doesn't sound illiterate. I don't know. Let me just say it. But it is not okay for you to accept someone else's definition of those three words, if that makes sense. I'm going to say just one more time. It is okay for everybody to have a different definition for those three words, but it's not okay for you to accept the definitions from somebody else within those three words when it does not align with your own definition. Okay. So now, to kind of dive in to, okay, girl, you're not talking about food. You're talking about people and this and that. Trust me, it'll all make sense at the end. So back to the you are what you eat, so be picky. When, we always have heard that, if you eat bad food, then you can develop a bad odor, or it'll reflect on your skin. You can get sick, or whatever the case may be. I take the same approach with people. And that's why I say, be picky. Because if you don't have a definition for those three words, you are kind of floating in the air, right? And you're just kind of accepting anything that comes your way. And you're feeling your body with that. You are just like McDonald's might sound good to you every single day. Is it good for your health? No. And it's the same thing. You might be enjoying what people might be telling you and accepting what you're hearing from others because it might feel good at the moment. But is it healthy? No. And so if you don't have a standard, a boundary for that, it's so easy for you to feel like that's what those definitions are for you. In the sense of, if someone is just treating you good tomorrow and you've never had an actual definition or a boundary or standard for the word love or for yourself, it's so easy to feel that, oh, okay, that's exactly what it means to be loved. But you don't know that because you've never set that standard for yourself. And the reason why I'm sharing this, it's because it becomes very toxic, and it would be wrong for me to feel like not that I have a cheat code. I am learning as life goes, right? But I do think that it is very important for us, especially as women, to have those standards, but because we create life, right? And it's so important for you to pick the right partner for yourself. But I'm not also just talking about partners. It's also about friendships and just the people that you've allowed to be in your circle. Because even though at the moment it might feel like you have the right crowd or the right people around you, it can affect you in the long run. And sometimes, again, going back to it feeling good at the moment, it might not be what we need, but we're just accepting it because we don't value ourselves enough. And it's okay to feel like right now, if you are going through something like that, where you maybe are in a relationship with someone that is dimming your light, but let's say you've been in a relationship with them for a long time and you kind of don't know how to get out. I feel like I am not an advocate for staying, but I do know that sometimes it's sad to say, but people learn the hard way in the sense of you have to learn it for yourself. But I'm actually an advocate for like, leave, girl, run. But I do think that it is important. Sorry, back to what I was saying originally. You should, it doesn't mean that you're stagnant there. And if you are having those thoughts, it's because you've also come to a point where you're realizing that this is not what you want, and this is not what you need, and this is not what you hold yourself up to, right? And I think that that's a big step, because that's why I asked you guys from the beginning what those words mean to you, because if you don't have that self-worth for yourself, then you can allow anybody in, and you're going to allow them to treat you however they want to treat you, because you don't have standards and you don't have boundaries. And sometimes when you do have standards and you do have boundaries, it can feel lonely. And that's why a lot of people break those boundaries and those standards for other people, because they don't know how to be alone. But that is so unhealthy. I think I'd rather be alone and hold my standards and my self-worth and my boundaries rather than be mistreated and told what I'm worth. Because people will treat you how they love you, how they see your worth. And it's sad because some people can treat you very, very nasty. And it can get to a point where, unfortunately, you have domestic abuse, but it can get to a point where you're constantly put down, and you start feeling like you're the problem, and you're not the problem. But I'm going to say this, but you have to stand up. You have to stand up, and you have to set that boundary. I know it's hard. I know it's so hard. But if you don't do it, there's never going to be any change. And when I say change, I don't mean that it's your job to change that person. It's your job to change you and value yourself and your self-worth. Because they've already shown you how they view you. But also, sometimes how people treat you is how they feel that you deserve to be treated, but it's because you've allowed it. And that's the aura that you give. This is what I deserve, the bare minimum, or this is what I want this person to do for me. This is how I want them to treat me, because that's what you've been giving off, because you don't do it for yourself. And if you really, let's say you say, let me give an example. Oh, that's why it goes back to the whole you are what you eat, so be picky. It's your job to fill your body with what you want it to be filled with. You should not say, oh, I really want a Dr. Pepper, but I'll settle for a Sprite. And you've never tried Sprite in your entire life. Like, first of all, you ever pick Sprite versus with Dr. But anyways, you've never tried it. So why are you even going to give it a chance? Like, why is that a choice? You don't like tomatoes, girl. Take them out of that burger. Like, why are you putting yourself in that situation to maybe, you don't know what those tomatoes can do to you? What if they harm you and now you got food poisoning? Like, don't allow someone to fill you with bad energy, because then you start becoming that and you start believing that. And what I mean by that is when someone tells you that you're ugly, they start dimming your light, that you are no longer worth of this, you're no longer worth of that. How you gain weight with food is kind of how you start gaining all these thoughts of devaluating yourself. And is it fair to you? No. But at some point, like I said, you have to stand up and you have to realize that you've also allowed it to get to that point. And I mean that with relationships and friendships and any relationship that you have. I feel like You should not be getting into a relationship, into a platonic relationship, whatever the case may be, if you haven't had an actual healthy relationship with yourself. If you don't know how to be alone, if you don't know how to, if you don't know your worth, don't let someone else define your worth for you. And when it comes to other people, maybe you're wondering, well, how can I leave this person in the sense of friendships, relationships, or whatever the case may be? I want you to ask yourself, what value do they bring into your life? And why can't you do that for you? If that person is bringing so much value into your life, and without that person, taking that person out of the equation, you can't do that for yourself, that's a problem. And that's a huge problem. Because I feel like, of course, there are certain situations that you might not be able to do at the moment, or you might not have the answers to at the moment. But that does not mean that you bring someone from the outside and you know that they're causing you harm and you just keep them there because they bring some type of value. Why can't you do it for you? And if your answer is because you love this person or you respect this person so much, so the way that they're treating you is also okay and you're okay with that. And I know that this conversation might be a little harsh for some people because some people might be going through it. And a lot of people might say that you never know until you're in that position. I agree. But also, you can stop yourself from even getting into that position by knowing what you are deserving of, what your worth is. And when I was younger, I'll tell you guys this quick story because I have gone through it myself with friendships. And it's crazy because that's why they say that whenever you don't feel like you're either healed or something's going on in your life, that you shouldn't, let's say you just got out of a relationship and you're not healed and you just go out looking for somebody to be with, that pattern can repeat whatever repeated in your past relationship because you weren't fully ready. You just didn't want to feel lonely. So when I was younger, I remember I had a friend, and at that time I was going through my parents' divorce, so I was very young, and I'm actually super thankful that this happened in my life because I probably would have never evaluated my whole worth. And I was about 10 years, no, I think I was 13. And I had this friendship for a very long time. And I trusted this person. I would tell them everything. But this person would always treat me very badly. I think that I didn't realize it towards the end, of course, because we're no longer friends. And I'm pretty sure that if they ever come around this episode, they'll know exactly who I'm talking about. And I ghosted this person, so I never even told them why. So, hello, welcome to your tape. No, I'm just kidding. But this is why. But I was friends with this person for a very, very long time, and it just felt good because once my parents kind of got divorced, I became this little shy little child, and I didn't really have a lot of friends at first. And so this person was a total opposite of me. So she knew how to bring all the friends in, and I was kind of that friend that's like, oh, yeah. But I only had friends because of her. And I feel like that also tied me down to her because I was like, if I'm not friends with her, then I feel like I will never have friends. Like, I'll just be a little loner. And like I said, I trusted her with everything. I would tell her all my problems, how I felt. And there were a lot of moments where she would really dim my light. Like, I'm talking about harsh. Like, it was kind of like appearance-wise, how I looked, how I needed to look like this. I was 13, y'all. Like, girl. But anyways, how this didn't look good on me, how she was only friends with me because of this, that I only had this because of that. And this was a long friendship. That's why I say that I know that sometimes you learn the hard way, and that's okay as long as you get out, right? But it wasn't until the end of our friendship where I started noticing that she was treating me that way because, one, I was allowing it, but two, because I treated myself that way. I thought of myself that low. I thought that I was ugly, that I couldn't have friends, that I would have been a loner, that my personality itself wasn't enough, that I was at that time I even had the thought of like, oh, well, if my parents don't love me because, they were going through a divorce, how can I say somebody else loves me? And I just felt like a void within my parents. So I held on to this friendship because I found some type of quote unquote love. But that wasn't love. That wasn't even a friendship. And it's so sad that we were so young, but sometimes people do, like I tell you, like she was feeding off of the energy that I was giving too. Like I felt sorry for myself and I felt like I wasn't enough. So her treating me that way was also like me reassuring myself, oh yeah, I am not enough, because that's exactly how she's treating me, And it wasn't until she told me something very crazy, basically just saying that I was very deserving of everything that happened, of my parents getting a divorce, yada, 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 yada. It was very harsh, and God woke me up, because as soon as I seen that text message, I was kind of like, whoa, because I know that I would have never done that to somebody. But also, as much as it hurt me, I'm so glad that it happened, because I came to the realization of, oh no, I'm not worthy of this. And that's not the reason. And I need to stand up, I need to stand up and realize what it means, why I don't value myself, why I think I'm a loner, why I feel like I'm not pretty, why I feel like this and this and that. So that's exactly what I did. I cut her off, no longer spoke to her, bye-bye, threw my phone away, and changed my number or whatever, And moving forward, I think I have been very picky with my friendships. That's why I think I have 2 solid friends. And there's nothing wrong with that. I know sometimes people tell me like, you need to have more friends or whatever the case may be. A friend to all is a friend to none. And I am not going to waste my time trying to have people meet my standards and my boundaries and what I feel like it means to be loved, when I have 2 solid friends that do just that for me. I am good where I'm at. And I do want to say that sometimes the way people treat you is also a reflection of what's going on in their life. But the difference is in how you're able to know if you kind of how, like, if that's how you're treating yourself, is that I feel like when someone's treating you badly and you realize that it's coming from their end because something is going on in their life, you're very quick to be like, you got me messed up, because that's not what you deserve. But whenever someone is treating you that way and you have a low self-esteem, you don't know your worth, you don't know your boundaries, you don't say that. We're not as quick to say that. We're kind of like, oh, you stick around a little bit more. So if you are going through that, take a step back and kind of see where you're at within that friendship, that relationship, and why you have allowed them to be dimming your light up to this point. Because I truly believe we all literally light up the world, and no one should be dimming your light, especially whenever you know that you are so much more than that. There's nothing more sad than you allowing someone to step all over you just because you love them. They've shown you that they don't love you, that they don't appreciate you, that they don't respect you, and that you're not worthy of that type of love that you want. But let me be the one to tell you that you are worthy. You're not asking for too much, but that's just not the person for you. and that is okay. Like I've said before, not everybody is meant to be in your life for a long period of time, and we should be okay with that. It'll hurt for a while, but this is the perfect time to be finding exactly what it is that you want to do and finding it the right way. What I mean by that is that you should not be going out to do things for that person. Oh, I'm going to be better than that person. I'm going to be better for that person, because that's toxic and that's your ego speaking. You should not do that. It should more so be that you are doing and trying new things because you're trying to find yourself all over again, and you've realized that what you thought worked does not work. And it does not mean you're starting over. It just means that you are trying to figure out what you love now, and things can change, and that's also okay. Change is a beautiful thing, and we change over time. And like I feel like I mentioned this before, but most of the things that I say over and over again is because I truly believe them. If you are not changing, you are not growing, and it's not okay to stay in the same spot, because that's when the pattern of like what you've gone through kind of repeats itself, because you're allowing the same things to go round and round and round and round. And the reason why I wanted to talk about this is because I've seen a lot of women and men go through a lot of stages in their life where I've literally seen them get into either relationships or around friends. And if I known them in the past, it's so sad to see like that nobody's home anymore, that their light is dimmed down, and they had so much potential or so much life in them, and someone just sucked it out. That is just so sad to me, because sometimes we feel like that's what love is. Oh, we have to make sacrifices. Yeah, you make sacrifices, but that doesn't mean that you burn the house down for the sacrifices. You know what I mean? Like, to what extreme are you going to go for that person when they don't even lift a finger for you? And those are some questions that you need to start realizing, because if you don't start now, that's how you're going to end up. And it's sad, but it's going to get to a point where you're really not going to be able to uplift yourself anymore. And we are young right now, so we have so much time that we can actually work on that. And like I said, if we don't act now, if you don't stand up now, you're never going to do it, and you're always going to be in that same spot, allowing someone to repeatedly hurt you. And at that point, you can't even blame them. You're going to have to start blaming yourself, because you never held yourself up to a standard. So stop holding people up to the standard that you are not holding yourself. It's not fair to you, and you are worth much more than that. So just to close off this episode here, I do want to say that if, again, you did not have an answer for me of what it means to, of what your definition of love, self-worth, and boundaries is, I highly, highly encourage you to do that sometime this week and figure out if you are holding yourself up to those standards that you have in mind. And if not, if you don't have them, I highly, highly encourage you to write down what it means to you to have boundaries, love, and self-worth, because if not, you're just walking, like I said, you're walking on air. You don't know what to expect. You're just kind of letting things hit you. And that is something that I do think that you need to have some type of structure in, because it can get dangerous in this evil world where you might let the wrong person in. And I don't want anybody to dim your light. If you do, or you did, or do, or changes, or, have a definition, please share it below, because I think a lot of people will benefit from that. And again, it does not mean that you have to have the same definition, but I do love listening to you guys' comments and ideas of what it means, because everybody can, again, benefit off of that and have different types of conversations in the comments. And just a quick reminder again, please be picky with your food. Okay? Don't make yourself sick and don't cause yourself harm just because you want to try something new. And be impeccable with your word, meaning that if you know that this is your standard, these are your boundaries, don't lower them for anybody else, because there's someone out there, whether it's a boyfriend, girlfriend, or a relationship as friends, they're going to meet them just in the level that you want them, and you're going to see growth, and you're not going to have to lift a finger to kind of meet them in the middle. Meet them to how they view their standards. Let both of you guys' standards kind of unite and know exactly what it is that you want. Don't let someone else come in and tell you what you want. But with that being said, I hope that you guys like this episode. Please don't forget to leave the comments down below. And I really want to thank you guys for 96 subscribers. It means a lot to me. And I hope that you guys are enjoying all these episodes and all these new topics that I have coming. If you guys ever feel alone, please don't be afraid to reach out to me. If you are going through a similar situation of what I mentioned in today's topics, just remember not to allow anybody to dim your light, and you got this, girl, or man, you got this. Don't allow someone else to come and tell you what you're worth, because you know what you're worth. So keep shining, keep thriving, and I hope that you guys have a great Sunday, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.